This is the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Cattles.
All right, we've got a lot to get to, so let me get right to it. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That code is CLNS. Also, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download that Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Also, we've got somebody new in the mix. That's right. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/Bedard50off. Again, use code Bedard50off, and that website is factormeals.com/Bedard50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. And we ain't done yet. Thanks to Noterno Home Services, Greg's Home Comfort Company. If you're looking for a team that puts your comfort first, visit noternohome.com/Bedard for 10% off your next service. Could save you up to $1,000. Woo! All right. Now that we've gotten through that, let's get to the actual information. And obviously, a lot is happening right now, Greg. I want to start from the beginning, which was Jerod Mayo's firing. Were you surprised by the timing of it on Sunday?
Yes, I was stunned, Nick, with how swiftly it happened. I mean, and this was one question I didn't get to ask Bob yesterday because we were short on time, and apparently only Curran gets multiple questions. But anyways, no, I didn't raise my hand again. I'm just kidding, just poking fun of my guy Tom. It's stunning to me that to go from a hiring that was so personal for Robert Kraft and how much belief he had in Jerod Mayo to less than a year later, not even allowing the guy to state his case for why he should be back is absolutely stunning to me, Nick. And I think it's, to me, look, from covering the league for a lot of years, there's two reasons why that happens. One, like basically total incompetence and or there's something personal there. I don't think that's the case here, but I'm not ruling it out. I wouldn't be surprised, Nick, if there was a conversation between Jonathan and Jerod at some point this week where maybe Jerod asked for a little bit clarification about his future, and whatever he got back from the Crafts, he didn't really love. And, maybe he mouthed off a little, maybe something like that. So there's that possibility. Then the other possibility, which I think is the more likelihood here, is the Crafts know exactly what they're going to do with the next step. Just wanted to clear the decks and get moving as quickly as possible. Let's not screw around for a couple days, do the, Wednesday meeting type of thing. Like, there's no point in it. We need to get moving. We know who we want. Let's get going.
When do you think the decision was made?
I think the decision was made after the Chargers game, that it was over. I think that everything that went down that day, and we've talked about it, of course, from the game, from the, the Gibson and Stevenson stuff to what happened during the game being just totally not competitive to, the post game and the fans and the chants. I think it was after that, maybe not like right then and there, but in the aftermath of that game, I think that's when they knew what they had to do.
I did a show on 98.5 and also NBC Sports Boston with Phil Perry on the Thursday before the Chargers game. And my question to Phil was, how much could things change if the Patriots are thumped by the Chargers? And Phil said, well, what is thumped? And I said, well, 10 points. He said, well, how about 2 touchdowns? I said, 2 touchdowns or more. What happens if the Patriots get thumped? And at the time, I don't think many of us thought that was going to be the case. I think a lot of us thought that game would be within a touchdown, 10 points.
Yep.
And just that whole debacle on that Saturday and the crowd reaction and the lack of competitiveness, the lack of preparation, I think The Arizona game, Greg, after the bye, opened the Kraft's eyes even more and really put Jerod on alert. I think he bought some of that back with the Buffalo game, at least the first half of the Buffalo game. I still don't think he was safe going into that LA game. And I said that on the Thursday with Phil. I said, it's going to come down to this game. Week 18 is going to be a joke. It's coming down to week 17. If they play competitive, then Jerod might save his job. If they get blown out, if they get thumped, I would not be surprised whatsoever he's gone. I agree with you. I think it was the Chargers game that was ultimately the death knell for Jerod Mayo as head coach for the New England Patriots. Do you think, Greg, that Mayo knew during the Bills game that he was gone?
I think that he had an idea. I don't think that he knew. I don't think he was told anything. He might have heard about the Schefter report, which is never a good indicator. And we all sort of know that Schefter's in pretty good with Patriots ownership. To me, that was surprising to hear that. I mean, when Schefter put him into the lean to out column, and he was like I think he was the only one on that list. There might have been, I think he said Peterson out, but other than that, everybody was like safe or lean to safe, and Jerod Mayo lean to out. I think he had an inkling. Might have. I bet that he heard about the Schefter report, and then he had an idea about it.
What really jumped out at me, I think it was a combination, is the fact that over the final 72 hours that led to Mayo getting fired, nobody came out and said he was safe. Not a single person came out and said Jerod Mayo is safe. And I tweeted this. I think it was on Sunday morning. Saturday I said I'd still be surprised if Kraft says goodbye to Mayo, but it's noteworthy that the local guys are not saying anything about him being safe. And the national people all last week were pretty much pumping the tires of Mike Vrabel. And everything was, hey, Mike Vrabel would be a favorite in New England, or Mike Vrabel is interested in New England. And then in parentheses, it was if Mayo is gone or pending Jerod Mayo, which told me it was getting shaky underneath Jerod. And then by Sunday morning, Greg, you know this. If ownership wants to get it out that somebody is safe, if they want to stand by their guy, right? Stand by your man. If you want to stand by your man, you leak it to Schefter and say, Jerod's safe. He's going nowhere. Or you leak it to Jay Glazer. He's not going anywhere. You talk to guys like you or Mike Reese, who's going on 98.5 in the pregame. The fact that there wasn't a whisper of Jerod being safe before that game on Sunday, I felt, okay, now I'd be a lot less surprised if he's gone. And then you had the Adam Schefter thing, which was kind of, the icing on the cake. There's a story at Boston Sports Journal.
By the way, Nick, 1 second. There's a little bit of breaking Patriots coaching news that I'm sure we'll get into it more, but Mike Jones from the Washington Post is reporting that Byron Leftwich is interviewing today for the New England Patriots head coaching job.
Oh, that's completely a Rooney rule.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's
I mean, I hate to say that.
Rooney rule.
I hate to say that, but Leftwich is out of football, isn't he right now? I don't think he's in football. That to me reeks of the Rooney rule, which is awful. It's awful for a lot of different reasons. And again, it's not great to say it, but I think that's what we're seeing here. And we'll get to Mike Vrabel. We'll get to the head coaching search. But if you want to do this quickly, if you want to get your guy within the next 7 to 10 days, let's say, what do you do? You run through the process. And Byron Leftwich is not, let's put it this way. Is he Aaron Glenn? Nope. I don't see any Aaron Glenn interviews being lined up by the Patriots. Is he Brian Flores, who has a link with the Patriots? Nope. I don't see them going out and talking with Brian Flores. Byron Leftwich is out of left field. That's out of left field. I would also say, Greg, just the thought process here as I'm working through this. It does feel like checking the box, which sucks. I would also say, however, I want your thoughts on this. Leftwich worked with Brady in Tampa. Vrabel, obviously friends with Brady. We talked about this last year during going through the, I hate to say process, but going through the whatever the hell that was. Sometimes you interview guys for bigger titles, bigger jobs, but ultimately you're kind of poking around. What my question would be is, could Leftwich be somebody they could entertain as either offensive coordinator or, I think more likely, maybe quarterbacks coach? So maybe you're kind of getting information on Leftwich, who has worked with Brady, has worked with quarterbacks. So maybe that's a part of this too, which is Elliott Wolf and Alonzo Highsmith gathering intel from Leftwich, because he might be somebody they have on the radar to be a part of the offensive staff.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't rule that out. It's definitely possible. What I'll say, and I'm sure we'll get into this more, but about the Rooney Rule. I mean, I get it. And I don't like it either, but the rules are what the rules are, and the sort of hurdles that the Rooney Rule presents. Like, they could talk to, if you're talking about like, token interviews. Look, the only thing that they can do with these guys who are, their teams are going to go deep into the playoffs. We pretty much have a good idea about that. They can only do virtual interviews this week, and that's only with the bye team. So it would be the Lions, Ben Johnson, and Aaron Glenn. It would be the Chiefs, and I don't know if they're going to talk to anybody from the Chiefs, but they can't do, with the Rooney Rule, you have to have 2 in-person interviews, and those can't really happen until after the divisional round. That's not until like January 20th. And if you're the Krafts, we heard Robert yesterday said, we're going to move fast. I mean, they're entitled to do what they're going to do. The rules are the rules are. The easy way to get past the Rooney Rule is to interview people who are out of the game, like Byron Leftwich, Ron Rivera, David Shaw, those types of guys. And, it sucks. Nobody likes it. But I mean, I don't know what you're really supposed to do. It's their franchise. I think they have an idea who they want to hire, especially after what just happened. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Leftwich has been out of football since 2022. So he has been out of football for 2 years. And he's the first guy that's getting an interview with the Patriots. Seems kind of fishy to me, right? I mean, I hate saying it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a guy that's been out of football for 2 years is getting the first interview ahead of Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel. Certainly smells
don't hate the play. I hate the game.
Exactly. Don't get on me for delivering the message. I'm just telling you, when you're interviewing a guy that's been out of football for 2 years for the head coaching job, who has never been a head coach before. Yeah. All right. We'll get to the Giardi story in a minute. First, Greg, tell the fine people about Prize Picks.
Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long at Prize Picks. I'll be sitting down with the playoff games this weekend, doing it up every single game, looking forward to it. It'll make it fun. It's playoff time, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Which players are going off, which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 off instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's CLNS to get $50 off instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
All right, so Mike Giardi had a great story today, some reporting at Boston Sports Journal. You all should check it out. The gist is that some vets, at least some veterans on this team, lost belief in the coaching staff quickly. And one vet says it happened as quickly as the springtime, when it just felt like the coaching staff was throwing stuff up against the wall, Greg. How much more do you think there is to this decision by the Krafts, just beyond what we've seen and what we've heard? How much do you think, the dysfunction, how high of a level could we be talking about?
Yeah, It'll be interesting to hear. I know, I'm supposed to go on Felger and Mass today, and Felger's like all over me to give details and stories, and like, dude, it just happened 2 days ago. And like I have and the other thing is like, look, I've been the only guy in this market who has been reporting on Mayo since before he got the job. I'm the only guy who attempted to vet him even a little bit, who pointed out like some of the dysfunction last year and how he rubbed people the wrong way. And I got crap for that. And I got crap for this. And like, I mean, I've been reporting the whole time, along the whole way, about Mayo, about ownership having issues back in the spring. This went into training camp. They're calling around. Like, look, there was a level of incompetence. How deep it is, I'm not really sure. I think that'll come out in time, especially the senior. Mike and I will be at the Senior Bowl. That's a really good place. That's usually like the fired coaches convention where they're looking for jobs. So I assume a lot of the Patriots assistants will be there, people who aren't hired. So we'll hear. But yeah, I do think that there was incompetence all season long. How deep it is, how bad it was, I'm not really sure, but it's very similar to me. It's very similar to, Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. And,
Right.
At the time, you remember that spring after they started working with players, I went on TV and said people were alarmed about what's going on with this offense. And I got similar vibes about this coaching staff, especially Mayo, very early on as well.
All right. If you're watching this, if you think I'm not paying attention to Greg, I am listening to Greg just because the time of the year. I'm also paying attention to Twitter, keeping track of that. So just in case there is breaking news, we don't need Greg to break it because he's got to think. He's got to think about what he's saying here, folks. Me, less so. I mean, Greg, he's got credibility, that he's going to worry about. He's got a reputation. Who the hell am I, right? Follow me on Twitter at Nick C Radio. All right, let's get into the Kraft press conference. Quickly here. We'll just run through a couple questions and we'll get to the coaching search. Your thoughts from 30,000 feet on the press conference by Kraft yesterday?
Overall, I thought it was good. I thought it was a very good move for him to come out and just take accountability and say, it's on me that he felt bad for Jerod. He put him in I don't know if he used the word untenable position.
Right.
Or untenable situation. I don't know about that. Unfair, maybe, or not the right situation for a first-time head coach who had never even been a coordinator. But I thought it was mostly good. I thought some of his messaging about the front office was inconsistent. I don't know exactly how much to make of it because I think a lot of it is him being 83 years old and sometimes not completing thoughts or sort of being all over the place a little bit. But I thought in general, it was fine. I think, he took accountability. He said they're going to move fast. The front office stuff, I'm sure we'll get into, but I thought it was good. It was good. It was good and solid.
A lot of people wanted to see Jonathan Kraft. I asked that question on Twitter before the press conference if we'd see Jonathan Kraft. But I feel like, Greg, the lack of Jonathan Kraft yesterday had more to do with Robert wanting to be the face of what went wrong. And I think that led into his opening statement where it's like, this is on me. And if you have Jonathan, if you have somebody else up there, it could deflect from, I think, the message that Robert wanted to send, which was, I screwed up. This is on me. I'm taking accountability. The buck stops with the owner. So I didn't have a huge problem with that. I've got to ask you, though, how involved do you think Jonathan is?
Oh, I think he's very involved. And, I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I believe that he sort of drove the bus on this. And, I think he was more involved, whether it's him personally or with Robin Glazer, about being informed what was going on in the building. But, yeah, I think he's involved. And I also, I agree with you. I think that Robert wanted to take it on himself because the Mayo thing was really his doing. But I also think, and I think it'll be interesting to see if Jonathen's out there when they announce the new head coach. because I do think it might be Robert, because I think Robert he wants to sort of ride off into the sunset. Hiring this coach is my last hire. The franchise is in good hands, and now Jonathan's going to take over, sort of thing.
Last one before we get to the coaching search. Speaking of coaching, some news before recording this. DeMarcus Covington gets an interview with Cincinnati for their defensive coordinator position. What do you make of it?
Very interesting. I don't really know any connections that Covington would have there with that coaching staff. But good for him. I mean, I don't know what he did this year that would it could be a situation where they're looking at their options, but also, he could end up being a position coach at the end of the day, that sort of thing.
All right, before we get to the coaching search and Mike Vrabel, which many of you are waiting for, Greg wants to tell you about our friends at Game Time.
Love using Game Time. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Love the all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. That's a must for me. I got to see the view. Love that. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Great time. All right, coaching search. Yeah, baby. Let's get into it, Greg. Let's get into the info, the intel. Greg's been on the phone, texting, taking calls.
Yes, if the season couldn't get any longer. Now we're going through a coaching search.
All right, Mark Daniels reported today. Mike Vrabel interviewing this week. Let me just cut to the chase. Handicap the chances, Greg, that Mike Vrabel is the next head coach of the New England Patriots. If you want to give me a 4-1, 80%, however you want to handicap it, go ahead, big guy. Tell me.
Good question. I'm trying to put a percentage. It's high. So I'm trying to say, is there a real difference between 80 and 90%? I'm going to go 90%. I think there's a 90% chance that Mike Vrabel is the next head coach of the New England Patriots. And do I think some things have been in motion? Yeah, I do. But I think the biggest reason you can point to why it's Vrabel and not say like Ben Johnson or something like that is, look what the Krafts just went through with their own rookie head coach.
Yep.
At least Ben Johnson has been a coordinator, but a guy that they knew, went to Israel with, all this stuff, believed in it, and that guy fell on his face. After that, do you really think they're going to bring in another first-time head coach, someone they don't even know, and put him in charge? To me, there is little chance of that, like 1%. So Mike Vrabel makes a lot of sense. They know him. He's been a successful head coach. He spent this year learning how to coach offense better in Cleveland, was in Cleveland with their analytics department, saw all that, used basically this season to educate himself more in a lot of different areas, so it'll be better the second time around. And it's too perfect a fit. Now we'll see what he's going to do for offensive coordinator and stuff like that. Could be Leftwich now that he's coming in. Could be Josh McDaniels. But yeah, to me, I would be stunned if it's not Mike Vrabel either by the end of the week or early next week. I would be stunned if Vrabel's not the new head coach in fairly quickly.
Any idea about the staff he'd bring along with him? You just mentioned McDaniels. Have you unearthed any more information regarding that? I know Tommy Reese has been brought up. Any thoughts on who he might bring along?
No.
Awesome.
I would be interested to see who his defensive coordinator is going to be. I mean, maybe he has some more thoughts about, maybe branching out. I mean, I would love to see, a guy like Robert Saleh or somebody like that, but I don't know how Vrabel's idea about defense and how he runs his defense. Now, he didn't run the Patriots defense in Tennessee per se. So maybe that's a possibility. But, Shane Bowen, who is, I think, still employed by the Giants as their defensive coordinator. I mean, he could get fired. He was his last defensive coordinator in Tennessee. To me, it doesn't really matter who the defensive coordinator is because Mike's going to make sure, unlike Jerod, Mike's going to make sure that side of the ball is good and ready. And if he has to spend all his time over there, he will do that and make it better. To me, the big hiring is offensive coordinator. I think if I had to guess, and this is just a guess, I have no information on it. I think it'll be Josh McDaniels, but I really don't know. It's let me put it this way. It's unusually quiet on that front. And so that leads me to wonder, as I know McDaniels has a lot of interest around the league with different people as this hiring process goes through. But I don't know. To me, it makes too much sense.
What could get in the way of Vrabel being the guy?
It's a great question that I hadn't really pondered. Nothing. I can't really think of anything. I mean, I can't see the Krafts balking on money. I can't see Vrabel going nuts with the money. I think that some of the front office stuff that's going on right now, I wouldn't be surprised if there haven't been conversations about that. And I think people being on board with certain things. Yeah, I'm trying to be very vague. I'm trying not to step in it very much.
Do you think if he walked in and said, "I want final say, I want the power, I want the personnel power," would that make the Krafts a little shaky?
It might, but from my understanding, I would not be surprised if Mike Vrabel doesn't have final say if he is named head coach of the New England Patriots.
Oh, look at you, huh? Look at a little smirking and everything. This guy, he knows more than he's telling us, folks.
Did you see me on TV last night? I actually winked into the camera, like talking about.
Yeah, I saw you. I saw you. I watched it this morning. All right, quick, and I mean quick because we still got a lot to get to, and you got to get to Felger and Maz. Rand Carthon, Greg, was popped today. I tweeted this out. The Tennessee Titans told Vrabel to screw pretty much because he said Rand Carthon's our guy. They attached themselves to Rand Carthon. They chose him instead of Vrabel. Vrabel said you're making a mistake. And now a year later, after Vrabel is let go, Rand Carthon gets fired after being the GM in Tennessee for only 2 years. Does that give Mike Vrabel more credibility when he walks into a room now?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do. What's interesting is, like, from what I understand, like, Vrabel didn't want John Robinson fired. Like, look, was he happy about the A.J. Brown trade? No, but John, I think, did what he thought he had to do. I think it ticked off ownership. And I do think, from what I understand, the John Robinson firing was Amy Strunk-Adams. And then the Vrabel firing was Strunk. And now she picked Rand Carthon. Hired him. Mike Vrabel wanted Ryan Cowden, who's now with the Giants.
Yep.
And then fired Vrabel and then backed Rand Carthon, who is now fired. Like, what a clown show.
Quickly, does Ben Johnson have any shot? Let's put it this way. If Vrabel's 90%, is Ben Johnson the other 10%? Is this a two-person race?
If for some reason this gets to January 20th, I think that's the end of the divisional round when you can have in-person interviews. I would put it as Vrabel, Ben Johnson, and Brian Flores. I would say those would be the final three. I even might put Flores ahead of Ben Johnson because he's already been a head coach and because the Krafts know him. That's what I put. That's the way I would put it.
And I would tell you that Brian Flores just took questions about his head coaching prospects. This is Kevin Seifert from ESPN. He said he would take every interview that is requested. Asked if he is interested in the Patriots job, he said, quote, "I would say yes, but it's not up to me." And so it sounds like the Patriots have not reached out to Brian Flores, which, again, could tell you a lot about Byron Leftwich's interview, right? If you're not reaching out to Flores, if you're not reaching out to Aaron Glenn, what is that telling us? All right, before we get to the front office, let's talk about Factor.
Yeah, I love Factor. Ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. Yeah, it shows up. It's got this the freezer packs and everything. It's ready to go. Lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor Keto meals, which I eat. They're delicious based on a randomized controlled clinical trial with Factor Keto. Results will vary depending on diet and exercise with 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week. It's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from your preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. I got to tell you, the Factor meals, all of the thing that blows me away, the sauces on all of them are delicious. And you're just like, what? These just came in a package? How can this stuff taste so fresh and so good? It does. I don't get it, but they know what they're doing. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/Bedard50 off and use code Bedard50 off to get $50 off your first box plus free shipping. That's code Bedard50 off. That's just 50. Bedard 50OFF at factormeals.com/Bedard50 off to get $50 off plus free shipping on your first box.
What the hell is going on with Elliott Wolf and Alonzo Highsmith?
So they are involved with the search. I think they are basically running point on it because I don't think Jonathan Kraft, Robert Kraft, Robin Glazer, even though I think Robin Glazer is probably heavily involved in this as well.
Boy.
They don't have contacts around the league.
You just started something with the Glazer stuff. I just want to let you know that.
Really?
Just by what you said. Get ready.
I mean, look, she's involved in everything. I mean, I don't think heavily. By the way, I met her a few times this year. Very nice woman, extremely smart. I know she gets trashed a lot, but I can see why the Crafts like her so much. But anyways, I think they're just running point, identifying prospects, calling them, arranging with agents, blah, 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 all that stuff. Now, the bigger question, and I think where you're getting at is, what's the deal? Why are they still here? Why is Robert talking about them, quote unquote, staying on? First of all, there's a lot of work to get done. Rarely you're not blowing out a whole personnel department. You can fire the GM like the Titans did, as long as you have a second in command that you feel strongly about, that they're ready and almost like on an interim basis. The Patriots don't really like. Alonzo Highsmith could do it. He's been here less than a year. Pat Stewart can definitely do it. Been with the Eagles, the Panthers, in prominent roles. But again, I don't know what kind of relationship with the Crafts have, and everybody knows about Crafts and their relationships. So number one, the work needs to get done. Like I think the Hula Bowls this week, the college All-Star games are starting. Be down at the Senior Bowl around January 27th. So the work continues. I do think that the front office largely, and we'll see if anybody leaves with Belichick and things like that, like, maybe a macro, I don't know. But I think that this front office will largely be intact through the draft. Now, does that mean that somebody like Mike Vrabel is not going to bring in his own personnel guy and eventually that guy's going to be in power? It doesn't preclude that. But that's sort of where I think we are right now.
By the way, we have more news, Greg, for you. Make of this what you will. Tom Pelissero says the Patriots have interviewed Pep Hamilton for their head coaching job.
Rooney rule, done.
Yeah,
they can now hire whoever they want to.
Pep Hamilton, last time in the NFL, 2022, as an offensive coordinator, was a head coach for the XFL
I like
team.
Pep. I like Leftwich.
Look, I like both those guys. I don't think they're in serious contention for head coaching gigs. I don't think the Patriots are genuinely looking at them as a head coach. I would put Pep Hamilton in the same bucket as I'd put Byron Leftwich. Maybe he is a part of the staff. Maybe, quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator, background like Leftwich. Maybe they're lining up some names to look at as far as the staff goes under presumably Mike Vrabel. Would Vrabel work with Wolf? Would Vrabel ever say, "Hey, look, keep Wolf on," or is it more likely that he's like, "I just want my guy. I want my guy. I'm gonna have the final call. I don't care who's there until after the draft, and then once it's after the draft, it's cleanup time."
Yeah, I do. I think that both of those guys have a chance to get position. Both of them have been QB coaches in the league before. Be interested. I do think this falls into the Krafts, making calls about how to best support the rookie quarterback. These are good guys to interview, and also, but largely, it's the Rooney rule's out of the way. Like I said, someone maybe with the initials MV could be the Patriots head coach by Friday.
All right. Well, there you have it. Before we get to a couple final thoughts, Greg's going to get to know Turno.
When it comes to keeping my home comfortable this winter, there's nothing more important than having a reliable team to handle things like heating, cooling, and plumbing. And by the way, it's freaking freezing. If any of you guys are having trouble with your boiler, heating, whatever, you don't want to be in the lurch. Naterno will help you out. That's why I'm so glad I work with Naterno Home Services. These guys are local. They are family-owned and family-focused and have been servicing the greater Boston area for 15 years. Top-notch professionalism was awesome. My comfort advisor, Nick, was awesome to deal with, and he answered all my ridiculous questions because I'm a total amateur at this stuff. Scheduling was a breeze. Didn't have to wait for anyone to get back to me. On installation day, they showed up before 8, were gone by 5, and even though it was a muddy mess outside, you couldn't tell at all when they were gone because they put down tarps. And by the way, all the work they did was perfect. This is a little nerdy, but I actually like to watch and listen to my new boiler work now. Even with how cold it is, my new boiler, it's not running all the time like my old one. I'm so glad that Naterno hooked me up and helped me out get my heating back on track. Naterno isn't just about heating. They're my go-to for plumbing, cooling, even water and air quality solutions. They've got the expertise to handle whatever your home needs. Here's the best part. You can get 10% off your next service with Naterno. That could save you up to $1,000 on your next project. $1,000. Just visit NaternoHome.com/Bedard. That's NOTTURNO home.com/Bedard for all details and conditions. Take advantage now. These deals won't last forever. Trust me, having a team like Naterno Home Services in your corner makes all the difference. Whether you need a quick repair or a major installation, they'll get the job done right. Check them out today.
My dog Sammy is just like staring a hole into me right now because she wants to eat. She's like, "Dad, let's go." All right, so let's do this quickly. Patriots against the Bills. Did the Patriots do it right?
Nick, we talked about it last week, and I was anti-tanking. I was anti-May. Sitting May. First of all, you're right. You're right about everything. But I just being there. And me. Everybody knows me. I'm a football purist. I think there's such a thing as football gods, and you don't want to anger them and all that stuff. And I figured, these guys, a lot of these guys, I don't really blame anybody, but I will say by the end of the game, like even and I'm not a Patriots fan, I felt like this was a loss. That they lost by winning, dropping from 1 to 4 is crushing. I don't really blame anybody. I don't know what else they were supposed to do. They played their third string quarterback. They sat some guys. They rotated on the offensive line. I guess they could have played Jalen Polk and Javon Baker all game, and they wouldn't have caught any passes. But short of that, they got out-tanked by the Bills, who I did not want the Patriots to get the number 1 pick. That was obvious.
And Joe Milton looked good. Maybe we'll get into him later on, but Greg's got stuff to do. I do want to update something quickly here, just so people don't think that Greg and I are going for like some low-hanging fruit or controversy. Tom Pelissero just tweeted. That's 2 head coaching interviews today for the Patriots, Pep Hamilton and Byron Leftwich. The only current NFL assistant coach they're known to have requested is Lions OC Ben Johnson, while Mike Vrabel is free to interview anytime, ... Tom's getting to what we got to. Okay? Mm-hmm. Timing matters. Mike Vrabel is going to be the coach. He's going to be the coach by Friday. We know what's happening here. Can we just stop? Okay? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Unless something catastrophic happens during the interview, Mike Vrabel is going to be your next head coach. Ben Johnson has an outside shot if Vrabel gets pantsed in the interview. That's what's happening here. They check 2 boxes, unfortunately. That's what they did today before they interview Johnson, probably tomorrow or Thursday. And then because Vrabel's interviewing on, I think, tomorrow, Wednesday with Chicago. They're going to do this fun little dance. Inevitably, Vrabel will interview by Thursday. We'll get stories that Vrabel's going to be the next guy by Friday. Check out BSJ, $50 a year. Great coverage. Download the Prize Picks app. Use code CLNS. Factor Meals, don't forget. Check them out. Bedard 50 off is that code. Game Time, use the code CLNS for those guys as well. Before we go, Greg, my final record, I want to make sure, final picks record. I was 7-10 against the spread. I was 9-8 straight up. Do you know what you were?
Hang on. I think I had. Oh man, I deleted it. But we can get to that Thursday, or we might have a head coach press conference by then. So.
All right, Greg's gonna go. He's gonna go tell Felgramaz everything he just told you on this podcast. That's why we rock. Yep. We're even better than those. We're not better than Felgramaz, but I think we have the best Patriots podcast in the world, Greg, you and I. That's what I will say. I'll stop there. A lot of people do great work. This is not a pissing contest. All right, we'll be back later in the week. Bedard's going to go. Bye-bye.